Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the Wealth Thesis, where we decode the psychology of success to help you design a life of freedom. Before we delve into today's content, we want you to take a few seconds to answer a very straightforward question for us. What are the most obvious characteristics you typically notice about a poor person? Perhaps your answer will be subpar clothing, the old car they are driving, or the way they meticulously stretch every dollar they spend. We often perceive poverty through these external, material manifestations. However, these signs are merely the tip of the iceberg. Poverty, in reality, originates and persists within their very mindset. Today's video, 10 Signs You Are Poor, will help you recognize who the truly poor are. This will be a frank video, a wake-up call, designed to help you examine every aspect of your life and, most importantly, identify the specific ways you can improve them. Let's begin this journey of diagnosis and transformation together. Number 1. You cannot sustain your lifestyle if you stop working. We commonly measure wealth by annual income or the balance in a bank account. But there is a much simpler and more accurate way to check your true financial standing, regardless of whether you are earning $20,000 or $1 million a month. That is your ability to maintain your life if your paycheck stops flowing. If you stop working and you cannot maintain your lifestyle for more than 3 months, you are considered poor. Imagine your life as a house. Your current lifestyle is the foundation, built upon steady monthly income. Every month, you need to pay fixed expenses, rent, utility bills, food, and travel costs. This house, whether magnificent or modest, is only one severe impact away from collapse. If you do not have enough savings to cover those bills for at least 3 months, you are just one step away from personal bankruptcy. You lack protection against the worst-case scenarios. A small incident, a sudden accident, an abrupt health crisis, or suddenly losing your current job will push you into a deep crisis. This vulnerability itself is the definition of poverty. You need a strategy to escape this vulnerability. 1. Prepare an emergency fund. This is not money for shopping or investing. It is your safety net. Set a goal to save enough money to cover essential living expenses for at least 3 to 6 months. 2. Create passive income streams. These are cash flows that are not affected by your direct ability to work. This could be rental income from real estate, intellectual property royalties, or dividends from investments. If you feel anxious when taking this 3-month test, do not be too disappointed. Turn that anxiety into motivation for change. Freedom is not the absence of constraints, but the availability of enough options. Number 2, you struggle or cannot afford to pay your bills. Do you see these familiar lamentations? My apartment is about to have the power cut off because I owe utility bills for over 2 months. I had to borrow money to pay the rent for the last 2 months. Or I walk everywhere because I don't have money for gas. If so, we regret to inform you, you are living in a negative financial spiral. This financial stress is not only a sign of earning little money, but is also the result of poor understanding of how the world operates. This often occurs when you do not spend time developing a valuable skill set in the market, leading you to accept a low-wage job. And worse, you use the little money you earn to buy meaningless things, liabilities that bring no long-term benefit. Poor people are often caught between doing a job they hate because it does not bring high value and using money to buy instant gratification. They might own an expensive smartphone, but lack the funds to maintain monthly phone service. This is the contradiction between appearance and financial reality. If you want to escape the struggle of paying bills, the solution is not to cut down on more spending, but to increase the value that you bring to the market. The rich do not just work hard, they do high-value jobs. They are individuals who possess the skills to solve the big, complex problems of society. The advice here is, spend time learning new skills, elevate your self-worth to gain opportunities for a higher-paying job. Do not waste valuable time doing easily replaceable jobs. Invest in education, in training high-demand hard skills, such as software development, marketing, data analysis. The harder the problem you solve, the higher you are paid. This is the golden rule of the market. Make your life easier, not by lowering your standards, but by increasing your earning capacity. Number 3, you frequently shop at dollar stores and hunt for sales. This is a common shopping habit among the poor, frequently being familiar customers of dollar stores, spending hours hunting for discount coupons and queuing up to buy sale items. At first glance, this seems smart. Why pay $10 for an item when you can buy it for $1? But this is one of the biggest financial illusions. This habit easily leads to the situation of overbuying. Poor people have a habit of stocking up on discounted food, believing this is cost-saving. But if that food spoils before you can eat it all, that is not saving. That is wasted money. This is similar to discounted clothing. You buy a shirt just because it is cheap, but you do not really need it, and it will remain forever in your closet. Please remember, cheap items often go hand in hand with low quality. Cheap items often break more easily, forcing you to buy them again and again, and the final cumulative cost is higher than investing in a quality item initially. Buying things you do not need on a sale is not saving money. It is giving away the little money you have left to the company that is profiting from your own carelessness. Number 4, fast food is your regular dinner. The next sign of poverty is not in your wallet, but in your stomach. The fact that you frequently choose fast food for dinner because it is cheap, convenient, or because you lack time and energy after working 2 or 3 jobs a day is a self-destructive strategy. Fast food is the enemy of your long-term health. Their nutritional content is very low, insufficient to provide high-quality fuel for the machine called your body. The poor often exchange health to save time or money, but that is the worst transaction. Because health is the only asset that once lost, you cannot buy it back with money. The rich pay great attention to meal quality. They do not necessarily eat expensive food, but they focus on the nutritional content of each meal. They understand that energy and mental clarity are decisive factors for maintaining high performance. Adopt the rich mindset and learn how to cook. Cooking not only helps you control nutritional quality, but is also a relaxing activity, bringing a sense of control over life. If you do not have time, try meal prep, preparing food for the whole week on the weekend. Investing in health is the most profitable investment you can make. If you cannot operate your body optimally, you cannot operate your life optimally. Number 5, you have no savings. The poor do not have a savings fund to buffer against unexpected situations. Their life is a series of days lived on the edge. When faced with a crisis, sudden job loss, an accident, or needing surgery, they cannot manage to pay but must find ways to sell assets, such as their house or car, or borrow at exorbitant interest rates. This is an extremely risky lifestyle, lacking preparation for any bad scenario. They often have to sacrifice assets or their future to solve current problems. Conversely, the rich always allocate their income reasonably, and naturally, they have an emergency fund for urgent situations. When a crisis occurs, they can still resolve everything smoothly without having to sell any investment assets or incur bad debt. If you find yourself struggling with saving, apply a simple but effective method, the 50-30-20 method. 50% of income is for essential expenses, rent, food, basic bills. 30% is for other expenses, entertainment, eating out, non-essential shopping. 20% is for saving and investing. Set up an automatic transfer to move this 20% into a separate account as soon as the salary arrives, before you even see it. Treat it as a mandatory bill that must be paid, a payment made to your future. Number 6, you lack investable assets. Poor people view investment as a distant concept, reserved for those who are already rich. They only work enough to pay their fixed monthly bills. They believe that simply working hard is enough to become wealthy. However, even if you work hard for 16 hours a day, you cannot become wealthy if you do not own assets that generate annual profits. Human labor has limits, but money can work tirelessly. The secret to being rich is owning assets. And most importantly, you need to clearly distinguish between assets and liabilities. An asset is something that earns you more money. A liability is something that costs you money. For example, the car you buy just for transportation is a liability because it costs you gas money, maintenance fees, and depreciates over time. The rich ask the question, how can I turn a liability into an asset? Instead of letting the car sit idle, they can turn it into an asset by becoming a technology driver, Uber, Grab, to create a new source of income. If you do not have money to buy a car or real estate, consider investing in stock index funds. This type of asset does not require huge initial capital. You only need a few dollars to buy S&P 500 index certificates from some brokers. This index has an average annual return of about 10.5%. This means your money will grow steadily in the long term, outpacing inflation. Do not wait until you have a large sum of money to start investing. Start today, even with a small amount. Let your money work for you instead of you working for money. Number 7, you overspend on small things. The poor often fall into the trap called the illusion of convenience. They continuously overspend on small things, but do so consistently, turning small amounts into large flows that drain their accounts. Take coffee as an example. The average price of a Starbucks coffee in the US is $2.75. Meanwhile, home-brewed coffee costs about 35 cents. If you buy Starbucks coffee 5 days a week, you are spending $13.75. If you brew it yourself, the cost is only $1.75. The difference is $12 per week, equivalent to $624 per year. A clearer example is ride-sharing services. You use Uber everywhere. You rent electric scooters because walking takes an extra 7 minutes. Convenience is costing you a terrible amount of money. You may not realize it because they are small expenses, but when accumulated, they create a gigantic hole in your finances. Continuous overspending gradually makes you unable to afford payments, forcing you to borrow money and falling into the debt spiral. The rich do not mind spending money on things that bring real value, but they are very conscious of unnecessary small expenses. Every time you pull out your wallet for something convenient, ask yourself, what is the opportunity cost of this money? If that $5 were put into an investment fund starting at age 25, by age 50, it could yield 5 times the value. Fight against this illusion of convenience. Convenience is often just an expensive price for your lack of patience or planning. Number 8. You spend money before you receive it. This is one of the greatest dangers and the core reason the poor remain poor. Spending money before you have it. The moment you start borrowing money, using credit cards recklessly, or incurring expenses before you have the ability to pay, your financial life begins to spiral downward. If you do not have the money for something that you are willing to pay for without affecting your life, then the reality is you cannot afford it. Do not fall into the trap of impulsive shopping. You do not really need 5 new phone cases or the convenient coffee machine that was just advertised. Debt prevents you from moving forward. When you are in debt, you are working for others. For the bank, for the credit card company, for the lender. They own your time and energy until you pay them back. The rich also borrow money, but they borrow money for a different purpose. They only borrow money if that money brings them profit. This is called good debt. Examples include borrowing money to buy rental real estate or borrowing to invest in a business with potential for profit. If you are in debt, create a clear and disciplined repayment plan. After that, prevent yourself from incurring debt again. Learn to use good debt and avoid bad debt. Let debt become a tool of leverage for wealth, not shackles for your freedom. Number 9. You blame others for your circumstances. This is a sign of psychological poverty. The poor always seek to blame others for their circumstances. I'm unlucky. The market is too difficult. The government ruined everything. When you blame external factors, fate, the market, politicians, or parents, you are putting yourself in the role of a victim. The victim mentality is one of the most toxic viruses for personal development. You cannot improve if you do not accept that you might make mistakes and are responsible for your outcomes. You may stumble, make mistakes, but you are not a failure until you start blaming others, including fate, for your results. The rich, conversely, take 100% responsibility for their destiny. They understand that their life is a product of their own choices and actions, not their circumstances. When facing difficulties, they do not look for someone to blame, they look for solutions. Become the architect of your own life. If you want to change your social standing, you must give up the right to blame. Number 10. You lack any high-demand hard skills. In today's knowledge economy, the most valuable asset you can own is not real estate or stocks, but your set of high-value skills. Poor people dedicate virtually no time to practicing any specific skill. Instead, they spend time on the internet, reality TV shows, or non-value-adding pastimes. They often have a job, but they don't have a career. Their skills are often easily replaceable or could soon be taken over by artificial intelligence, AI. The rich always invest in skill development, elevating their value to society. That is the secret to why they earn more money than the rest of the population. They possess hard skills that society is willing to pay a premium for. We often hear the saying, "Investing in yourself is the best investment." This saying never gets old. Learn at least one skill that is valuable to society. Software development, digital marketing, sales, or anything that can solve a major market problem. Maintain discipline and perseverance. Skills cannot be learned overnight. They are the result of deliberate repetition. Dedicate 5 to 10 years to honing these skills. When you do, they will surely pay off. My dear friend, we have just gone through 10 signs indicating a poor person. There is a very powerful quote. Poverty isn't a fate, it is a condition. You cannot choose where you are born. You may be born into poverty, but you have the right to choose to change your life. If you feel discouraged after realizing you have one or more of these signs, please remember that awareness is the first and most important step toward development. You are not a failure. You are just temporarily heading in the wrong direction, and now is the time to adjust the compass. If you are determined to change yourself starting today, please comment below, "I will change," to show your determination. The Wealth Thesis community will accompany you on your journey to success, helping you develop yourself and change your mindset. If you found this content helpful and inspiring, do not forget to like this video, share it with friends who need this wake-up call, and most importantly, subscribe to the Wealth Thesis channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next content. Goodbye, and see you in the next videos.